couple minutes after at about T-minus 41. We're almost halfway full on ship, just about a third on booster. Those are both going to continue until we're about 3 minutes, 20 seconds before liftoff on ship. And then the booster is going to close out at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So we pretty much we're loading up right to that last possible minute, keeping it as dense and cold as possible, and then getting off the launch pad. The countdown startup sequence, everything will look very familiar if you watched Flight 5, assuming you did. But you're going to see the engines start to ignite at about 3 seconds before liftoff. They're going to start up in 3 different groups. First, those center 13, then 15 of that outer ring, and then those final 5, bringing all 33 Raptors online. After that, we'll see about a second later, and then it'll lift off, so a couple seconds from first light until motion. As usual, we can hold at T-minus 40 seconds if we have any last-minute issues to clear, anything with the range, anything that triggers on the vehicle. And if we pass T-minus 10 seconds, the deflector fires, and then we scrub, then we're done for the day for at least 24 hours. But weather is fantastic, light breeze, no clouds in the sky, not tracking any hardware constraints to launch today. If we're not able to get off the pad, though, we've got opportunities throughout the week, could be 24 to 48 hours later. But everything looking great. I'm excited to be able to see another one of these get off the pad. Check back in with everybody in just a couple of minutes. Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Now, you could see those 2 towers in the back there in the distance at Starbase. Starbase is really coming along just as rapidly as Starship itself. That second launch tower will be coming online next year, and it will allow us to increase our flight cadence and test even more frequently. And just a few kilometers away from the 2 towers, our cutting-edge 1 million square foot star factory is nearing completion with the goal of producing hundreds of ships a year.
Yeah, that might sound crazy, and that's because it is. If you can imagine a future where we are flying and catching a fleet of boosters, which is the lower portion of the vehicle, that fleet is actually pretty small compared to the potentially hundreds of ships, the uppermost portion of Starship, that will be flying in that future vision.
Yeah, exactly, Kate. Those ships will be staying in space for long-duration missions to go to the moon or Mars, or become tankers for refueling, or any number of other uses. But the boosters will come back and turn around to launch the next ship. So in order to hit that production cadence of hundreds per year, we're rapidly building out Star Factory, which is our Starship production facility in Texas. And
views of that Star Factory there. Now, this place allows us to move system integration work earlier in the build process, which means more efficiency, higher quality, and ultimately faster production. Starbase is an incredible place to be right now. There really is nowhere else in the world like it. You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Now, what you might be hinting at is the good news is we are hiring. If you love what you're seeing, check out our openings at Starbase. On the engineering side, we're looking for vehicle design engineers across structures, propulsion, and integration.
And if you're a hands-on tech, we're looking for integration technicians and welders that can help us hit our goal of building a Starship every 8 hours. And to do that, we need builders.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need a lot of builders to get that down to just 8 hours.
Right? Now, beyond that, in order to keep Starbase growing, we have all kinds of roles, from baristas to HVAC technicians to EMTs. So chances are, if you're looking, we have a place for you. Visit spacex.com/careers to see all of our openings.
Every role is critical to the future of Starship. With Starbase growing faster than ever, we can't do it without you.
This place is where our future is being built, and that is a future that we are all very excited about. All right, let's dive deeper into the inner workings of Starship and learn more about this flying skyscraper.
Starship features 2 major parts, the ship, which has 6 Raptor engines, and the Super Heavy booster, which has 33 Raptor engines. Now, just like flights 1 through 5, the current iteration of Starship is an experimental vehicle flying for development. And with a few planned upgrades, Starship will have 3 times the thrust of Saturn V at 10,000 metric tons of thrust, plus the added benefit of full reusability. Starship 2 will be capable of carrying more than 100 tons to orbit, and Starship 3 will be able to lift more than 200 tons to orbit. Now, the amount of mass we're able to launch per rocket is crucial to creating a self-sustaining city on Mars.
Exactly. And speaking of launch mass, we should probably acknowledge the elephant, banana in the room, and our today's secret payload.
Okay, So two things here. The first is, remember on Flight 5, we had a giant Mechazilla decal where the banana is today. And there you can see that on your screen. Now, that decal is 3 feet tall, which might be hard to tell looking at it on the ship right there, which is why we have a full-scale reproduction of that decal here with us so that you can see the size compared to humans.
Yeah, it is bigger than you think it is. Like Jesse said, it's 3 feet high, and this is full scale, just like the one that was on Flight 5. Now, it is hard to follow Mechazilla, but I do have one better. Bananas have been used for quick visual comparisons for quite some time, and our teammates thought it was time to bring the venerated yellow fruit to Starship.
Today, we're flying Starship's first ever physical payload, which is, as you might have guessed, is a banana. That's
a live view inside Starship, and if you look closely, you can see our stuffed banana payload, which is doubling as today's zero gravity or zero-G indicator. And while this payload will remain inside the vehicle at all times and will not be deployed today, it did give us a chance to do a test run of payload approval processes with the FAA. And that's something that we're hoping to do next year if we start flying our first Starlink satellites on Starship. Godspeed, banana.
Some additional size for context, you can see on your screen a Starlink Mini next to a banana for scale. And to get an even better sense of how big Starship is, let's take the average size banana next to the average size human, which is about 2 meters high. Towering over our average human is the length of the Millennium Falcon, which comes in at 35 meters. Our Falcon 9 rocket with the payload fairing attached is double the size of the Millennium Falcon at 70 meters, and nearly twice the size of that is the fully integrated Starship at 121 meters tall. The ship is about 50 meters, and the Super Heavy booster alone stands 71 meters tall. And we do have plans to make the ship and booster even taller in the future.
And yeah, it might be hard to imagine that because it's pretty big already. Now, Starship's first stage has a diameter roughly 2.5 times that of Falcon 9, and as you can see on your screen, with 33 much larger Raptor engines. I love this view. This is looking up at the aft end of Starship there at the engine bay. Now, moving up the rocket, the ship features 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea levels, and 3 vacuum engines, which are optimized to operate in the vacuum of space. The ship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface, like the surface of the moon, for example. This ship is also outfitted with 4 flaps to help aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight and enable a precision landing.
To reach full reusability, the ship must survive re-entry not just once, but multiple times. It took the teams at SpaceX about 3 years to develop the heat shield on Starship, and development for improvements is still ongoing. The ship's heat shield is composed of thousands of hexagonal ceramic tiles designed to insulate the vehicle during atmospheric entry, where temperatures can be as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit or over 1,400 degrees Celsius. The tiles are something we iterate on every flight test as we build towards a heat shield requiring no refurbishment between flights to unlock rapid reuse.
And the teams have actually already begun testing the heat shield tiles in environments simulating Mars atmospheric entry conditions, which we'll see more of in just a few minutes. You know, slightly different than coming back to Earth.
Just slightly different. And in between the first and second stages is our hot stage, which we saw in action on flights 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's recap that last flight to understand what we accomplished and how that's changing for today's flight.
On October 13th, Starship successfully lifted off at 7:25 a.m. Central Time from Starbase, Texas. A gorgeous sunrise ascent that was fairly quickly followed by the hot stage separation maneuver, which we see here, as well as on multiple previous Starship flights. The booster then performed a flip maneuver, boost back burn, and then we jettisoned that hot stage, which you see there. The booster then performed its boost back burn, which brought it back on a trajectory to the launch tower, back to the Gulf Coast. We can see here the booster descending through the Earth's atmosphere. It broke the sound barrier again as it was coming back through. Those Raptor engines relit, and then the moment that made us all lose our minds, the booster came back for a successful first ever catch by the chopstick arms back at the exact same launch tower that it launched from. It was insane. As you can see, we all went bananas. And you did too, probably. Thousands of distinct vehicle and pad criteria had to be met, and thanks to the tireless work of the entire Starship team, we succeeded on that first attempt.
And while that all was happening, ship was continuing to coast towards the Indian Ocean. It executed an excellent coast, made its way down through re-entry, relit its engines, did that flip maneuver, relit its engines for landing burn, and then splashed down into the Indian Ocean. Now that whole flight test concluded, that splashdown 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds after launch.
Starship's fifth flight test was one of our most ambitious yet, and as we work to demonstrate techniques fundamental to Starship and Super Heavy's fully and rapidly reusable design.
And I think I speak for all of us when I say that seeing the catch for the first time was an extraordinary moment for the entire SpaceX team. We've seen a lot of wild firsts here, but that was truly an epic moment in time.
Yeah, we're not forgetting that anytime soon. Certainly one in the history books. Now, today's mission profile is very similar to Flight 5, but there are some differences that we've incorporated as we prepare for future reuse. About 20 minutes from now, Super Heavy will ignite its 33 Raptor engines and lift off from Starbase. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the booster will separate from the ship in a hot stage separation, and we've seen that occur on multiple flights, including Flight 2, 3, 4, and 5. About 2 seconds after that burns, we'll jettison that hot stage. The booster will perform its flip and boost back maneuver, and we will once again look to return the booster to the launch site for a catch by the tower's chopstick arms. And once again, we will only attempt that if both the booster and tower are healthy after launch. We were successful last time, but we should emphasize that this process is still very new, and this is still just a test, so success is very far from guaranteed today. It's always a possibility that we'll lose the vehicle. It's a contingency that we always plan for.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while the booster is doing its job, the ship's 6 engines will remain lit for a few minutes before shutting down and then going into the coast phase. The ship will coast for a total of about 40 minutes or so, reaching a peak altitude of approximately 213 kilometers. Now, one additional objective for this flight during coast is an in-space burn using one of ship's Raptor engines. Doing a burn while in space will build confidence that we can do deorbit burns, which is a key capability for upcoming orbital missions. Now, after the coast phase, the ship will attempt a controlled re-entry, and if ship makes it all the way down, we'll once again perform a flip and landing burn before splashing down in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. Now, there are some notable changes to our entry plans for this flight, and they will intentionally push the ship to, and very likely beyond, its limits. This includes several thermal protection upgrades and operational changes as we prepare for future ship catch and reuse. Today's flight test will also test new secondary thermal protection materials, and entire sections of the heat shield has actually been removed in certain areas. And on top of all of that, we're going to fly the ship at an aggressive angle of attack once it's moving slower than the speed of sound.
Now, this means we'll be flying nose down instead of our usual belly flap orientation during final descent. This will no doubt stress the limits of the flap's ability to maintain control, but it will be a chance to get real flight data on what our limits actually are.
So, to put it as bluntly as possible, do not be surprised if this is not a smooth flight to splashdown today. We are intentionally looking for how far we can push and discover the vehicle's true limits as we plan for future ship return and catch.
And even though ship recovery is not expected today, the telemetry and data we receive all the way to the end is what we're looking for and what will help us get to a rapidly reusable Starship of the future.
Now, just like Flight 5, one of our objectives for Flight 6 is attempting to return the booster to the launch site to be caught by the tower. The booster for this flight has upgrades to add redundancy across its propulsion system, increase the structural, as well as increasing the structural strength in a few spots. We've also implemented a few changes across both ship and tower to try and speed up the post-catch timeline. Returning vehicles to the launch site leverages the same hardware that we use for stacking ahead of flight, making our infrastructure multi-purpose. And in order for us to achieve that rapid reusability that we keep talking about, we need a quick turnaround, and you can't get much faster than returning the launch vehicle right back there to where it needs to launch from again.
If this happens again, it's gonna
Exactly.
be so
In
cool.
this video, you can see our original render of booster
Better
catch
happen again.
alongside the actual footage of catch from Flight 5. This video is just mind-blowing to see the predicted versus reality. And just like the last flight for today's booster catch, there are thousands of criteria that need to be met in order to proceed with catch. Automated checks have to indicate we have a healthy booster and a healthy tower, and the flight director must issue a manual command which is informed by manual checks from the flight control team. If this command is not sent prior
They
to
got
the
down to
completion
1
of the
second
boost
on the
back
last
burn,
flight.
or if automated health checks show unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy or the tower, the booster will default to a trajectory that takes it to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
I remember when we first heard the call out that tower was go for catch on Flight 5, and wow, I still get goosebumps when I think about that moment. Now, for today's test, just like Flight 5, we're only going to catch if everything on the booster and the tower checks out after launch. As always, we accept no compromises when it comes to the safety of the public and our team. And so to that end, the area around the pad and the flight path are cleared in advance.
A lot of things have to go right in order to line up the booster catch. So if all criteria is met, we will attempt to catch, but there is a chance that we may not. Either way, we'll be getting tons of in-flight data, which is extremely valuable.
Exactly. That first catch was pretty epic, though.
1.2 million
so,
views
like
already.
you,
And
we'll
they've
be
been
keeping
live
our hopes
for
high to see
15
another
minutes.
one this afternoon. Now, Dan, you got to see it in person last time. Are you mentally prepared for a possible round two?
I mean, probably not. That was pretty hands down the coolest thing I've ever seen, and the fact that we're going to do that every time now breaks my brain a little bit, but it was absolutely incredible. One of the unique aspects with Super Heavy coming back is it does generate a sonic boom. This is something commonly associated with reusable spacecraft. It's coming in faster than the speed of sound and then slowing down. It creates that pressure wave that builds up, and then when it reaches you on the ground, that rapid change in pressure is that quick thunderclap sound that you hear. Now, generally the only effect is that thunderclap sound, but if you're not expecting it, it's definitely going to get your attention, and we were able to hear it last time. The impact of
Of course the
how
Griffins
loud
are
it is
shaking.
changes pretty dramatically, and in this video you can see as we were descending, and there was kind of that,
So
that
cool to
quick
hear that.
triple pop that you heard. Now that was picked up from closer to the pad. Most people at our distance and further away, you're only going to hear one or two as they're happening kind of so on top of each other that it might
I wonder
just
was
sound like
this
one big
event
bang.
down here on
But
purpose,
as I
though,
said,
from the
that's
Kiwi.
something that's only associated with spacecraft being reused. We hear it with Falcon 9. We heard it during shuttle, and looking forward to hopefully hearing it today. Just a quick status check, though. We're about 85% full on ship, almost 2/3 of the way full on booster, continuing to count down about 13 and a half minutes, a little under that, until we lift off today. But still looking good. I'll check back in with you guys in a few minutes. Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I think Dan said it really well when it really does hurt the brain to think that this is going to be the
It's a
norm.
22-story
that this
building
is just the beginning. Every
coming
one
back
of these flights is a
onto
step
Laris.
closer to a fully operational Starship that will take us beyond Earth orbit. And with our pace of rapid iteration here, the Moon and Mars are not nearly as far in the future as you may think. In fact, we're planning to send Starships to Mars as soon as 2026.
Which is when the next Mars transfer window opens, which is under 2 years from now. Now, you might be familiar with the Starlink logo, which you see there on your screen. It's an iconic representation of the Mars transfer orbit, also called the Hohmann transfer orbit. This transfer window, or the time between the time when Earth and Mars are closest to each other, opens every 26 months and is only open for about 2 to 3 months at a time for a vehicle with Starship's power.
Lining up a launch to Mars is similar to how we launch to the International Space Station, where we time the launches to match the station's orbit. If we didn't do this, we would need more propellant and more time to get there.
Starship has it,
So
though,
the
if they
first
need it.
opportunity we have to fly Starships to Mars, we plan to go for it. These first flight tests to Mars will be uncrewed and will test the reliability of landing in tech. If those landings go well, the first crewed flights will soon follow after that.
Right now, our flight tests are focused on proving out reusability of both Super Heavy and Starship. In 2025, we'll continue that focus while also potentially flying our first Starlink missions and demonstrate capabilities central to our role in taking astronauts to the moon as part of NASA's Artemis program. Starship will be used to land astronauts on the lunar surface on NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will put the first humans on the moon since 1972.
One key capability will be the ability to refuel Starship
That's
on
a new
orbit,
render.
which you can see there on your screen,
The
with
V2
a
because
Starship
that's the
prop tanker
flaps.
docked with a fuel depot. Next year, we're planning to test this capability by launching 2 Starships and having them meet up to transfer tons of cryogenic propellants. Now, when the time comes to land on the moon, Starship will link up with NASA's Orion spacecraft in lunar orbit, where astronauts will transfer over for their descent. Now, once
So tiny
on the lunar
compared to
surface,
it.
they'll ride the elevator down in their Axiom EMU spacesuits from Axiom Space and leave the first
Like, if you look at the size of the landing leg
more than half a century,
compared to the size of the
kickstarting
people,
humanity's mission
and
to
then
establish a
the ship
sustainable
behind them.
presence there. And coming soon to a moon base alpha near you, Starship Enterprise Edition.
That is so
Enterprise
exciting,
Edition.
and all the advancements that are going to come in order to enable all of that. Now,
They
our
officially
rapid
named it
iterative
Enterprise
development
Edition.
approach has been the basis for all of SpaceX's major innovative advancements, including Falcon, Dragon, and Starlink. Today, we're testing hardware and systems, and we need to know how they perform under the most extreme conditions.
This is the last
And what's more
V1
extreme
ship
than
as well.
the flight
The
environment.
V2
We'd much
have
rather
the
find the
flaps
bugs and
up
limits
here
now
instead of out
during
here.
testing than later on.
So
when
on
it's flying
re-entry,
alive.
it's easier to combat.
And to reiterate,
And
while we
it's
do
like
determine
slightly taller.
an acceptable level of technical risk on our vehicle and pad to learn as fast as possible, we accept no compromises when it comes to the safety of the public or our team. So all that to say, this is only the 6th of many future flight tests of Starship before it becomes fully operational.
And we tend to
cameras,
do our
one
testing
here,
out in the
one
open,
here.
just like today. And that means people sometimes see when our hardware doesn't perform as we planned during that testing. And that's okay, because this is exactly what we are testing for. To
There's a
physically see
banana
if
decal
hardware
in here, by the
performance
way.
matches what we
There's a
expected
little banana
to
that said
do
banana
or
for
not.
scale right
Even
in there.
more with
That's why they
today's
have the
test
banana
flight,
shirts on.
where we're purposefully pushing the ship beyond its limits.
Starship development is also being aided by Starlink space-based connectivity. You might remember the Starlink panels that are incorporated into Starship, and you can see them there on your screen, those rectangular panels on Starship's nose cone. Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry, and also helps
Godspeed
deliver us
Booster 13,
critical
ship
flight
31
data
banana.
engineers need to continue development.
Yeah, Starlink continues to help us push the limits in space in the short term by providing great views and real-time data on our next few flights, particularly through re-entry, which spaceflight veterans know that is historically a period of blackout for all communications within spaceflight.
Outside of Starship, Starlink has helped people across the globe, particularly in rural and remote areas that have been underserved by traditional broadband internet.
Yeah, and soon, Starship will deploy our next generation Starlink satellites, which will continue to increase our capability to connect even more people with high-speed internet all around the world and beyond. Now, as we continue to prepare for our next several flight tests, we recently performed a cryo-proof test of the Starship for Flight 7, our first operation with a vehicle debuting a number of major milestones. The ship has been stretched to make room for larger propellant tanks, increasing the propellant capacity from 1,200 tons to 1,500 tons. The forward flaps also got a redesign. They have shrunk in size, and they also shifted in location.
The flaps are like
both
further
of
back
these
on it.
things will help better protect them during entry heating while still providing control. There's also a wide range of upgrades that will make the vehicle more reliable, adding
Flaps look so
redundancy
weird.
and the ability to operate for longer durations in space.
One unique aspect of a trip to Mars are the different conditions ship will see when entering the Martian atmosphere. Now, it's difficult to simulate Mars's atmosphere when re-entering on Earth, so we've been testing a variety of heat shield materials inside a specialized plasma jet chamber at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where we're able to more closely simulate Mars's 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere.
Aside from looking awesome, this is important testing. The intense heat of entry will cause the CO2 to break down into its base elements, exposing Starship to
1.7
atomic
million views
oxygen,
already.
which increases surface heating and can cause materials to oxidize or start to break down. Spacecraft entering over Mars encountered more than twice the amount of atomic oxygen at their peak when compared to Earth, and that is certainly a unique challenge. As
It's
we
weird,
continue
like
to
the
test, we'll
city
learn
over
more
here,
about what makes a great heat
and then
shield
this
for
here.
Mars. All right, now that we're heading into the final minutes of the countdown, let's go back to Dan for the latest on the ground there at Starbase.
Hey, Kate,
That feels good.
afraid I have nothing but good news for you. We have a go from our range safety team.
That's
We
good.
are a little over 90% full on ship, almost 85% full on booster, and not tracking any holds to an on-time liftoff. So we've got about 3 more minutes of prop load. As long as the range stays clear, we don't trip any other holds, we might blow right past that T-minus 40-second mark
Again.
and lift off right at the top of our window at 4 p.m. Central. So toss it back to you guys one more time, but fun part about to start, we are, what, a little under 6 minutes away from launch.
All right, so we are continuing to progress now at 5 minutes and 43 seconds until liftoff. Now, once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure, and the ship will go on to internal power.
And then after that, the quick disconnect, or what we call the QD arm lockout, is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly. However, once the water for the deflector system begins flowing at T-minus 10 seconds,
Then
any
they
issue
can't
after that would
recycle.
be an automatic scrub for the day, as the teams would need to refill the deflector's water tanks as well as the propellant storage tanks over at the
That'd
tank
be
farm
48 hours.
before we're able to make another attempt.
Now, it is just so unbelievable that it's just been only a little over a month, and we are just a few minutes
month
away
and
from Flight 6.
4 days, I think.
The crowd here is building up. We've got a much larger crowd here than when we were launching at 4 or 5 in the morning out here. So very excited to have an afternoon launch to have all the employees here.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
like 4
now, just
p.m.
as
for
a
them now
reminder,
instead of
that
4
T-minus
a.m.
40-second hold, if we opt to use it, everything is still potentially go for launch. So nothing to be worried about there. At that point, basically,
Usually
up
they
until
blow right
T-minus
past it,
40
though.
seconds, all aborts are just holds. This would allow the team to wait for final checkouts to assess propellant levels, engines, avionics, vehicle pressurization, range, weather. Occasionally we've had shrimp boats lingering in the past, but that doesn't sound like that is the case today.
Yeah,
They always
not
seem to
today,
say
no
about
shrimp
issues.
boats, which is great. Everything so far is looking good. We're getting really excited here, just a few minutes away. We're going to go back, send it over to Dan in Starbase. How's it going, Dan?
It is still going great, just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away, so we should be done with our prop load on ship momentarily, and about 30 seconds later we'll close out on booster. Our flight control team on board, or in the building just behind me, not on board, some of them might wish they were on board. Flight control team in the building behind me, they're going to have a lot of work to do right after we lift off, as we still have a lot of manual checks that happen on the tower prior to the flight director, who's going to be Tristan Pierce again today, giving a manual command to bring the booster back to the launch site. And the tower did just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for a catch, so we're hoping to see that again today. A lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work, played a huge role in making that catch possible, and looking forward to hopefully seeing that happen again.
And turn the
of
camera
course,
again.
sending our first
Oh,
payload
come
to
on.
space. You
Oh,
can see
come
the
on.
payload is very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around. So once we're in a zero gravity environment, we should see our first Starship zero gravity indicator putting on a little bit of a show. And that's looking right in. That's where we're going to have
They put a
Starlink's
banana.
PEZ deployer, so getting its ride to space. So coming up on about 2.5 minutes, we are closing out on all of our prop load. Yep, just heard that our fill drains are starting to close, so that means we're no longer going to be flowing propellant into the booster and the ship. We're going to do what's called pushbacks, so all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks, clear out everything around the pad right before we light those 33 engines and take off. Just quick reminder, you're going to see fire start at the bottom. You're going to see the deflector start at about 10 seconds before launch. Lots of water to help dissipate all that heat, all that sound. And then the engine starting up in 3 different groups. And then about a second after T0, we should see liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging. And that's when we're going to be listening really close on those loops to see if we're going to be bringing the booster back for a catch today. Do always want to caution, it's never a guarantee. We've done this once. We'll see if we do it again. We're only going to do it if the booster and the tower are looking really good before we attempt to bring it back here.
Hopefully
but
they end
coming
up
up
bringing it back,
on a
because
minute,
that's...
not tracking any holds on the board right now. So as long as
No
we don't
holds.
have any last second things, which do happen.
Can't believe they put a banana
Flight director just confirmed
just
T-minus
tied up
1 minute.
inside. Just tied a banana up inside.
Key moment to look at in 10 seconds, that T-minus 40.
40. Right past.
And we flew right through that.
It's going.
Flight directors go for launch.
Go. 20
All right,
seconds.
we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship Flight 6. This will mark our second attempt to catch the Super Heavy booster at the launch tower, as well as
10,
9, 8, 7, 6,
6.
5,
Water startup.
4,
I can pass here, it's 40 hours.
2, 1.
Ship QD disconnect.
Detect liftoff.
I saw the ship disconnect coming back and I was like, ah, it's going.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Booster Raptor, chamber pressure nominal.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
And
Vehicle
All
has
right, we're
reached
just a little over a minute into
maximum
flight.
dynamic
We're
pressure.
about
10 kilometers.
6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call outs at power telemetry nominal. That's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens.
They haven't had any holes, they haven't had any scrubs
Pass
for
through that point of
3 launches
maximum
now?
aerodynamic
4?
pressure, that max Q.
Oh my
Now
god.
coming up in just a little over a
She was
minute from
screaming.
now is going to be hot staging. So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down.
Miko, most engines cut down,
And
cut
what
off.
we call Miko, it's most engines cut off instead of main
There we go.
engine. And so while we continue to watch it go up, a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send a manual command. Just about
That
30
woman
seconds
was
away from hot
screaming.
staging.
30 seconds. I'm trying to get the time's up. .239. Okay, so about 10 seconds.
And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Booster engine cut off.
The return flag is set
Towers
for
go.
true.
Ship engine startup. Stage separation.
They didn't show the on.
All
the
right, hot
cameras just
staging
kinda
confirmed.
lit up.
6 out of 6 lit on the ship. Booster boost back going. We heard that we are go for catch. Kate, Jesse, take good the views. Hopefully I got a booster coming home real soon.
wow, From our view here, Dan, great views of planet Earth behind that super heavy booster. Right now it is performing the
Ship
boost
chamber
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Good news there, telling us that the pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage, or the upper portion of the vehicle. Follow along with the telemetry on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, booster is currently, super heavy is currently in its boost back burn. This boost back
Shut
burn,
down.
Avionics power telemetry nominal.
this boost back burn lasts
Look
just
how
a
little
little
fuel
bit
it
over a
has.
minute. So we've got a little, approximately 30 seconds left.
Shut down.
We've had shutdown of that boost back burn. Up next will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, and then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see those grid fins.
Offstage.
Offshore divert.
And we can also see that the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Yes, visual confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the next
Starship is following a nominal trajectory.
step
I
for
always forget
booster
about this shit.
is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means that we are no-go for the catch. As we said before, both the tower
No.
and the vehicle, as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for tower catch.
And we did mention that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for catch. There's a lot of things that need to go well in order to line that up. Unfortunately, today we will forego booster catch today. But what you're seeing on your screen is ship currently making its way towards the Indian Ocean, still looking good so far.
Exactly. So views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, we've said before that it was not guaranteed that we would be able to make a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was pretty epic on attempt 1, but the safety of the teams and the public and
it's going to be another like 2 months before we see another booster catch.
Paramount. So we
Because
are
the only reason this
accepting no
launched so quick compared to the
compromises
last
in
one
any of
because
those
the
areas.
FAA gave a launch
Exactly, and
license
we're
for
still going
this.
to get a lot of good
For Flight 5
flight
and
data
this one,
with
so Flight
booster
6.
even, but especially with
But they
ship.
didn't give
Again, we have an
license
additional
for Flight
objective
7.
today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor
Gonna be
engine,
wild.
which again will help us set us up for being able to do deorbit burns, which is
Ship chamber pressure nominal.
which is important for orbital flights. And what you're
Damn,
seeing
that's annoying.
on your screen is a view from Super Heavy as it's making its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, once again, we are attempting an offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watch, watching it come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas. We can see it there re-entering. We saw earlier those grid fins. There are 4 hypersonic grid fins. Oh, we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
And same pattern, 13 engines will light, gone down to 3 just as we expected. And what an incredible view of splashdown that we got today of Super Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy cam views will be pretty awesome
they couldn't.
once again. So we'd like to confirm a water landing once again for the Super Heavy booster. Congrats to the SpaceX team for making that milestone as well. Now, ship continues to look good. We can see that it is, while all of that was happening, the crowd here in Hawthorne continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone is
Starship is in terminal guidance.
great news there. Starship terminal guidance, referring to what we see here on our screen, the upper stage.
The booster wasn't go, the tower
at,
was.
About 8 minutes 35 seconds or so, we have ship engine
we have that
cutoff,
camera back.
which will be the cutoff of the Raptor engines.
Shut down.
We can see on our screen ship giving us some incredible views brought to us by Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
And there we just heard call out for SECO, ship engine cutoff. Great news there, everything continuing to look awesome.
Re-entry from that camera would be cool.
For ship.
Full view looking aft on ship here.
Ship FTS is saved. Nominal orbit insertion.
There's that call out we were waiting for. Confirmation of good orbital insertion for ship today.
It has been a very exciting afternoon so far. We'd like to send it back over to Dan, who can give us that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Yeah, totally fine. You guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see it lift off 33 out of 33. Didn't go for the booster catch today. Initially, we were good, and then we tripped a commit criteria and did the offshore divert. So we went and did that water landing, as everybody saw. We'll dig into it a little bit more, but again, we've done it once, we've now done it twice. We're going to keep trying to do it, as this is just a core capability of Starship and what's going to make it so incredible. There's a lot left. We're just about almost 10 minutes into this flight, so about 50 plus minutes still to go. Ship nominal orbit, so it's on its way around the planet. It's going to attempt to do an in-space burn. We're going to light one of those Raptor engines, the sea level ones in the middle, just to help demonstrate that we can relight in that microgravity environment. Really critical for deorbit burns as we start to do some orbital missions in the not too distant future. And then following that, we'll see a ship entry, maybe a splashdown. As you guys said, we're really going to be pushing ship on this one. We're pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we expect it might not do so great, and all that's to try and help us learn, see if we were a little too conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth, and hopefully we see it re-entering in the not too distant future. Back over to you guys.
Thanks, Dan. Development testing, by definition, is unpredictable, which we saw with Super Heavy splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico today, but that is exactly why we test. As is standard for these tests, the area around the pad and along the flight path was cleared prior to launch, and we expect the road and beach to remain closed until further notice.
Yeah, testing development flight hardware in a flight environment is what enables our teams to quickly learn and execute design changes and hardware upgrades to improve the probability of success in the future. Please do not attempt to approach the booster in the water for your safety as well as for that of our team that will be working on recovery. Now, we are going to continue though. The mission is not done.
Exactly, the mission's not over, ship is still coasting, but it has been nonstop since liftoff, and with the booster having completed its job for the day, we are going to take a short break for the next 35 minutes or so while ship continues to coast before re-entry. Now, as with previous flights, Starlink may enable us to talk to the ship through re-entry with no communication blackout. Now, we are still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, so nothing is completely certain.
Yeah, so if we do have views, we will be sure to bring those to you live. And of course, one of those views include that of our, as we said before, surprise payload, the Banana. And we are looking forward to it. So we're going to come back in a few minutes, around T plus 35 minutes.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for our coverage of Starship's re-entry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and hopefully see a splashdown.
just about 35 minutes into today's flight test, continuing to get some live views from Starship itself as it continues to make its way around the globe. We are coming up on what we will hopefully see is our in-space relight demonstration. This will be firing up one of those 3 sea level Raptors on the very aft end of the ship and essentially reigniting it while we're in that microgravity environment in Earth orbit. We had attempted this once previously on Flight 3, but ended up skipping it when we had some attitude control issues with the ship. And we are on the dark side of the planet right now, so views are going to be a little bit dark, but hopefully we see some engine light come on as we do this relight test. This is a pretty critical capability for doing deorbit burns. This is not a deorbit burn. Want to stress that we're on a trajectory where if we didn't fire off the engine at all, we are definitely coming home. Ooh, seeing some thunderstorms down on the ground. That's pretty cool. But this is not a deorbit burn. If we didn't fire this engine, we're on a intentional suborbital trajectory. So no matter what, we're coming in over the Indian Ocean. Firing off the engine does change your exact splashdown point a little bit, but we've got this keep out zone across the entire Indian Ocean that we made sure was clear ahead of flight, and we continue to monitor during, but we're going to aim for that and hopefully see this relight test coming on in about a minute. It's just going to be one of these engines, and it uses what's called the header tank, so these small spherical tanks in the very top of Starship up in the nose cone. They don't require nearly as much gas to pressurize as your main tank, so they're really useful for any in-orbit maneuvers and then for landing burns. So if we make it to a landing burn today, we'll be using them for that as well. So we should be coming up in just about the next minute. Should be under a minute now away from that expected ship burn. And again, we've relit Raptors pretty frequently. We just did it with the landing burn and that boost back burn on the booster, and we've done it on ship landing burns. We just haven't done it in this microgravity environment where your propellant management and a lot of other things are different as you're not weighed down by the force of Earth's gravity.
And
just heard the call out for startup. There's some light. There's that Raptor relit. And shut down. All right, there you have it. The first time ever lighting a Raptor while in outer space, other than our ascent burn. So really cool to see that relit. That's a pretty critical capability that we're going to need when we're doing orbital missions in the not too distant future. So check another one off. That was a really cool. That was an objective we really wanted to hit on this one, and so good to see ship knock that one out in orbit. But for now, we're going to coast for just a little bit longer, and then it'll be time for ship entry. So we'll get the usual light show as we return
Starship
from hypersonic velocities. We're just starting to do the entry prep for that, so we're going to get the flaps positioned, and then it's going to start taking the brunt of all of that heat as you're coming in from well in excess of 10,000 miles an hour. That's all going to build up a lot of heat as you're encountering an increasing atmosphere, building up that friction. And we're going to see how the tiles fare. We've also got some pretty cool tile experiments that we'll talk about in a little bit. But coming up real soon, ship re-entry, successful relight, and we'll start this entry part soon.
Okay. I took a lot longer than I expected. I think they had the in-space relight. So they started the engine for the first time. The last time they tried to do that, that was cancelled. I was driving to a haircut. Still annoyed that they didn't get the landing. Chopstick landing. That's kind of annoying. Last, on flight 5, I was just sitting here for like 25 minutes after watching the replays and everything of the landing because it was shocking. Let's see. Oh yeah, they do. Only for like. Oh, only for like 2 seconds though. Then read it for like 2 seconds. Like, can't see it though. I should laugh though. Trying to see the timeline. Okay, so technically it's not an entry. It's heating up, but it's not in full entry.
100 kilometers altitude. Good attitude for atmospheric entry.
Yeah. So we have another 20 minutes until the landing burn. We'll actually see it this time. That might make up. Elon, it's a situation. I used to like him a lot because obviously like all his companies and all that. It's kind of hard to say. Like I don't love him. I like his companies because they're not. It's not because they're not run by him, but because they're not. I like the companies, not him. I don't hate him. Like he's all right if he's not in public. I'm glad they bought this camera back. They got rid of it because they put engine shield in. So re-entry would be cool from that. Oh. Kind of annoying though, because Flight 5 got a lot of attention because of the catch. It was on news, it was on everything because of the catch. But now this flight will just be gone. No one will know about it unless you're watching. Because they didn't catch it. Is Jesse back?
Welcome back to Starship's 6th test flight. It has been an exciting day so far. We lifted off from Starbase at 4 p.m. Central Time. The Super Heavy booster and ship had a successful separation as well as a good boost back burn and good separation of the hot stage adapter. We did not attempt a return to the launch site and catch attempt today when strict criteria were not met and the Super Heavy booster executed a planned divert to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, obviously we were hoping to come back to the tower, but this was a test and we knew that it was a very viable possibility.
Starship is at 85 kilometers. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
All right, great news there, turning our attention over to the star of the show here, giving us these amazing views once again.
The lightning tower on top of the tower
The Starship
bent.
vehicle is now 83 kilometers.
That's why they
above,
aborted the
coming
catch.
up around T plus.
Which is interesting.
Well, now actually, the ship, as
It's
you can
interesting,
see,
'cause it
is
should still
beginning
work.
to re-enter the Earth's
But
atmosphere. As a reminder,
that
one of the
stopped
main
the
goals
catch,
of
which is
today's
interesting.
flight test is for the ship
Kinda
to make
weird,
it
but
through the
okay.
extreme heat of re-entry and to do so in a controlled manner. Now, re-entry is typically a
Don't
portion
love
of
that.
flight where we don't have communication capability with the spacecraft because it's re-entering at or around orbital velocity, which is roughly 8 kilometers per second or about 5 miles per second. Now, at those speeds, yep, pretty fast, the spacecraft is moving through the atmosphere rather quickly, and that results in friction, as we can see that starting to happen
Apparently,
on our screen, and
it
this
entered a
creates
lot
plasma
sooner
field around the vehicle. That
than it was supposed to.
blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so it's not uncommon to experience brief blackouts in communication.
Starship is approaching the peak heating phase of entry.
Oh, here we go.
And we just heard we're getting into the peak heating phase. We're getting these views courtesy of Starlink. We've got 4 different terminals on the ship itself. It's what's really allowed us to get real-time data during what's otherwise been just a mystery box, essentially, for spacecraft design, where when you're re-entering through the atmosphere, at least getting anything in real time hasn't ever been possible before. But we're able to not just get these views,
People are saying
but
the engine shield line
real-time
got
telemetry
bent.
from the ship as it's coming through. Do really want to stress that we are really pushing the ship today. The heat shield is not in the same configuration as it was last flight, where we had a team of ship techs do just an otherworldly task, replacing the entire heat shield, thousands of tiles, installing a backup of LATIV, and that
190 kilometers
pretty
to
much set us up to do
213.
a pinpoint landing on Flight 5. We did not do that with this one. We have some backup in those really sensitive areas around the flap, but this
The engine
is an
performance
older
was pretty low
generation
in
heat
that
shield.
case.
And knowing we weren't going to do that, we even went and removed some extra tiles. There are some missing tiles on the nose cone where we're testing some backups. There are some steel covered tiles in a couple of different spots, and there's also a whole lot more steel of the ship showing. As you
It's
guys
weird the
talked
tower
about.
was
We gave
gold.
it a little bit of a haircut, a couple hundred tiles trimmed off the sides, and that's where we might have catch fittings in the future. But ooh, color's starting to come in. So it looks like things are going to start heating up, Kate and Jesse.
Yeah, fun fact, Dan, we actually removed 2,100 heat shield tiles from Starship in order to basically present that necessary receding line, which you kind of can see there in your view. Think back to previous flights, the heat shield line came up further on the vehicle, and just like Dan said, we want to test the vehicle beyond
Someone said
what
catch
we
aboard
think
ship failure
it is
make me cry,
capable
so
of
hopefully no
carrying
ship failure.
based on our simulations and calculations. So once again, to just be super plain, don't be surprised if we see some wackadoodle stuff happen here. We won't be. There are a number of things that we are testing out intentionally to see what the ship can take.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what those limits are will really help
Yeah, the
us
booster bent the antenna on
design
top
the
of the tower.
vehicle of the future. Essentially, removing those
Ooh,
tiles
booster
helps
not
us
looking
remove
too
a lot
hot.
of weight from the vehicle. a lot of
Booster's
things
not
that might
looking too
potentially
good.
Need refurbishment in the future. And the goal is to
That's not
come
coming
up
back.
with a heat shield pattern or design that
Oh,
we
the
don't have
FAA
to
is going to
refurbish.
delay
We
the
can just continue to use it
investigation
over and
now.
over again, and that's why we're changing some of those tiles and moving stuff around, removing a lot of those tiles, as Kate has been mentioning.
Exactly. And, you know, looking forward to the Starship capability of the future, we want to be able to catch Starship like we do with boosters. And so the next flight, we want to better understand where we can install catch hardware, not necessarily to actually do the catch, but to see how that hardware holds up in those spots. And today's flight will help inform, you know, does the stainless steel hold up like we think it may based on experiments that we conducted on Flight 5.
Find.
Now continuing to look, amazing views. Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there's so much on this flight that we're doing to try and, make all the ships that we're about to start flying even better. Just really understand what their capabilities are gonna be. We've got kind of the next gen ship lined up for Flight 7. It's got all of those heat shield upgrades and everything. And one of the things that we're going to be doing that's most interesting, and one of the reasons we wanted daylight, is we're going to be flying pretty aggressively as ship comes in. We're going to be kind of nose down, and we've done it in wind tunnels, we've done it in simulations. You might see the flaps really flapping around trying to control the vehicle. We're betting we might have a little bit more capability than we think in just the analysis, but always a chance that bet doesn't pay off. But that just helps us know, like, what are our
Starship
limits.
is now halfway through the peak heating phase of entry.
Very
Halfway
cool.
there, halfway home, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys, again, can follow along with the altitude and the speed of ship as it's making its way back down to Earth, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Speed is still going really, really fast. Again, as it gets closer to Earth, we'll
technically
see
not
the
a mishap.
altitude drop
Yeah,
a
I
little bit
suppose.
faster. It's kind of dropping pretty slow right
Ooh.
now. And again, as we get
Uh-oh.
closer and closer to literally the surface of the water, then we'll start to see that speed pick up. And if we can make it through this
Booster
re-entry,
wasn't happy.
we will attempt to do that flip maneuver once again and splash down in the ocean.
Exactly. Like we've been saying, we are testing beyond the
Yeah.
perceived limits of the vehicle.
Booster is
we
not happy
want to
with
go learn
its
more
landing.
about the ship, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So really pushing the flight hardware in a flight environment to help inform these future designs. As we've mentioned, it has a different heat shield. This heat shield is not the same generation as what we flew last time. This one is one generation older. So we are also
Teams
testing
ain't
out
gonna be
new
recovering
secondary
that one.
thermal protection materials. So basically, like, if the heat shield isn't in this one spot, can this other material protect the metal is the thinking there. Also checking of the ship's structural strength in those areas where we're looking to add that ship catch hardware just to see if it
Yeah,
survives entry.
it's not looking too happy.
Yeah, as we've been saying,
Oh.
we've done a lot of calculations and simulations. This view right here is super cool. This is looking out from
Yeah, I hope it
the
survives,
aft
'cause then we'll have a
engine
daylight
bay,
landing
basically
view.
at the bottom of Starship. Then on the center left-hand panel, if you will, we have one of the forward
Apparently Booster's
Starship
still
flaps-
floating, though.
flaps. So one of the flaps located at the top of the vehicle.
If
Underneath
it
that is
lands,
one of the aft end
if
flaps,
this
like
right
the one
here
that we
doesn't
see in
pop the
main
tank,
picture there on the right-hand side. of
we'll
the
get
screen.
daylight views of
Now
landing.
these views as the vehicle continues to enter the Earth's atmosphere,
I'll give up anything to see that
drawing
one.
a crowd once again here at SpaceX and Hawthorne as folks tune in as the mission
is it
continues
transonic?
on. Now the next event that we have coming up, we should hear
That's 7
the
minutes.
call out
Okay.
that the vehicle is transonic.
Yeah, but if
Around
this
T plus 1 hour and 2
fold
minutes or
right
so,
here pops the tank,
that means that the vehicle is
that's gonna be
traveling
upsetting.
near
No
the
booster
speed of
catch
sound. We
and no
say
ship landing.
near the
It's gonna
speed
be
of
reverting
sound
back
because
to
there's
the
certain parts
flight
of the
3,
vehicle
flight
where
4
airflow is going
days.
faster and other parts where it's going slower. So it kind of teeters there on the brink of the speed of sound. So once we have equal flow on all parts, then we'll hear it's subsonic.
Yeah, and
Oh, and almost real quick, almost a reverse of. I'm sorry, Jesse. Almost a reverse of before we see the Earth starting
Okay, I
to
thought
come
you were about to say
into view.
something bad.
We've got sunrise there. Over
This
over the
plume
Indian
back here
Ocean.
isn't
So
the
this
best,
is
but it
gonna
could mean
look
that it's
different
catching
from
the
any of
engine
the
section.
re-entries we've had before, and it was specifically so like we get as much daylight as possible to see how ship does this. Over to you, Jesse. Sorry about that.
Dan, great minds think alike. That's exactly what I was going to point out, is that we're getting a lot clearer view of the Earth in the
All I
background.
want out of this
with,
is a
the different
daytime
temperatures
landing
that
view.
we're seeing with the different colors.
That's a lot of
Of
sparks.
that plasma around the ship, which is really, really
I also
cool
see a
to
gap
see. Again,
between the tiles right there.
we are pushing the limits of ship today, but so far
Um,
everything is looking pretty nominal.
Yeah.
But
we'll see how the next few
We
minutes
haven't
goes.
seen a ship landing
Like
because
we
the
said
ship comes in
before,
like
don't be
this and then
surprised if
flips
this is
and
not
lands.
Entirely
seen something
smooth
like that.
sailing all all the way down
since
to the
they're
ocean
already
surface.
like
Similar to
serial
Flight 5,
number
we are
15
targeting the same
days
splashdown location
when they
in
went
the Indian
like up
Ocean,
10 kilometers,
but we
8
are
kilometers, and
not
then came back down.
expecting to
We haven't seen
recover the
anything
vehicle.
since like that
Right,
since
and we
then.
were getting some glimpses
But
of the
this
flaps.
doesn't look
The
good.
flaps so far are looking pretty good. We're not seeing any burn through. There's those flaps again in that hinge area, which is our most concerning area there. That's great news for
That's
us for now. Again,
really good
the
though.
next few minutes could change as we continuously push those limits.
Yeah, once we slow down a little bit, once we're subsonic essentially, so I think that's about 1,200 kilometers an hour. Once we're down below that, that's when we're gonna kind of dip our nose down and get that more aggressive angle of attack. Normally we're just belly flop right into the water, pretty much that position. But if we're going to be able to do return to launch sites, we're going to want to be able to fly.
They should have shown that on the
set,
on the stage
attack,
set.
Get you a little bit more range as you're coming through, and so this will be just a test to see quite how far can we push it. But obviously, we're going to do these kind of tests way out here in super remote areas before you ever try to bring a ship back to a place like Starbase.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory. External temperatures are coming down.
All right, great news there. That tells us that we are through the phase of peak heating. So we are expecting these temperatures to continue to come down. Once again, we are targeting a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean around
Flaps
the
burning.
off the
No!
west coast
Not again!
Of Australia. We can see these beautiful views of planet Earth coming in. Yeah, this is very different where we had nighttime.
Not again.
views
No.
Of the ship as it was re-entering. And now we've
It's
got
happening
daylight. It
again.
is about an hour or so after sunrise there
No.
in the Indian Ocean. So pretty cool to
Damn
see
it.
this.
Yeah, and it might not seem like it makes a huge difference, but we do get a little bit more light on ship as well for the camera views that we have, which is very beneficial for us to visually see anything and try and correlate that to any of the sensors or data that we have on the vehicle.
Exactly.
Forward, right,
That
little
is
flap
why
that
we
could is
shifted
glow.
our launch window so that we could have that daylight in order to improve our observations of the vehicle. So not only are we getting all the raw data from all the sensors that are on board Starship, but we also have multiple cameras and assets out there that are watching the vehicle and will also be able to tell us with this visual story that is also very, very important.
And as we get down a little bit lower, the Raptor engines are in their chill phase right now, so just essentially getting them primed to turn on. We're going to use those 3 center engines to do a landing.
Oh my god.
Landing burn, so we'll come down kind of in that slightly pointed down.
It got through it.
Fire off those engines to flip us around and then do that final landing burn.
The
That
ship
should be
dent
coming up in
Harry
just
Potter.
a little over, just under 5 minutes from now, and then hopefully we start hearing some call outs.
Look at the
transonic
heat-
and
the
subsonic
heat
as we
stress on
slow
the-
down. Again, once you hear Starship
That's
as subsonic,
how.
keep a close eye on the flaps. They're going to be working overtime essentially
That
to
dent
maintain
is
control of the
freaking
ship
me out
as
though.
we get a little more aggressive with this.
So landing burn.
We can see that we
Flip's supposed to happen
are
at
beginning-
104.
Starship has passed entry dynamic pressure.
Ooh.
All right, great call out there. But we can see on this view here that we do have some heating there on that looks like one of the forward flaps on Starship. This is to be expected. We knew that the vehicle would perform differently than what
It is
we had
glowing.
seen on Flight 5. This is actually really good data because it tells us what parts of the vehicle at this, what will soon be a higher angle of attack once we drop down below the speed of sound.
IFT 1,
We'll have
3,
a
and
higher
4
angle of
prove
attack,
this
meaning
guy's
we're going to
strong.
be flying nose down, basically. So yeah, this is good
You
news.
need
but
to
we can
remind you of
actually-
Flight
it looks
4.
like that heating is starting to cool off there.
How though?
Yeah, it's a little burn through.
That's-
Again, it is important to note when we start seeing that through the ship's descent as well. So, like Kate
They
was
do have
saying,
thermal
we're
cameras
getting
inside
some
of
really
the
good
ship,
data
though,
here. It looks like the other flaps are doing a little better than the one that has a little burn through, which is some good news. Again, constantly watching. We've got couple minutes until we're expecting
Them clouds,
to
though.
make it all the way back
If they
down to
block our landing views, I'm gonna be
Exactly.
mad.
And like we said before, we are not expecting to recover the ship, although that would be great. It'd be a nice bonus if it happened, but it's not really in our expectations today. We really want to push the hardware, as we've been saying, but really the telemetry and the data and the video that we receive all the way to the end is truly what we're looking for.
What's the chance they put
and
a
help
tracking
inform
camera for the ship
future
landing?
designs of this vehicle.
We could see some flap movement as the camera is moving around. That's what you're seeing there is the flaps adjusting. And we have a camera on one of the flaps there this is the view that you're seeing there.
What if they stall the ship out of the sky?
And you can also see the graphic in the bottom.
Starship is slowing down past Mach 1.
And call-outs aligning with this, you can see the orientation of the vehicle starting to change. You can follow that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Again, that is
Now they're
why
gonna
those flaps are
nosedive.
changing. They control the orientation of the vehicle.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
four.
this is.
Go ahead, Dan.
Starship has started the subsonic
I
belly
was gonna-
flop, remains on a good trajectory.
I was gonna say this is when things will start to get a little interesting. So this is when we're moving slower than the speed of sound. You can see that nose slowly start to tip down, and we're gonna try and maintain flap control the whole way. But we are just
Belly
a
flop
couple
time.
minutes away from hopefully doing a landing flip, and landing burn if the flaps can hold together.
Yeah, this is such a cool view. This reminds me of when we first performed the belly
We haven't
flop
seen this
maneuver
since
on
the
high
early
altitude
testing
test
days.
serial number 8. We saw the ship come back through, and I always wondered what it looked like from the ship's perspective, and this perspective, I think, helps inform that. We will be, as Dan said, we will be dipping down a little further and really
Welcome back,
flying
SN15.
nose first. This higher angle of attack, we're intentionally doing it to stress those aft flaps, and that will help inform the limits of flap control in order to collect data for future landing profiles.
I mean, we're looking good so far. We've just got about 5 kilometers in altitude to go. We'll ignite the engines when we're still just a couple hundred meters over the ground. Do that flip.
Starship is
and
passing
landing
through
burn.
5 kilometers altitude, remains on a good trajectory.
I have a feeling this is going to look so cool as it passes through the clouds.
Obligatory shout out to the entire avionics team on Starship.
Well, here we go.
There's that nose down orientation.
Now
The flaps are
Raptor
going.
engines will relight and help flip the booster back up. This is a more severe flip given the orientation. The engines will shut down
Do it.
prior to the water making
Do it.
impact, prior to the vehicle making impact with the water.
Do it!
Our
Start
ship
it.
is doing great so far.
Yes!
There's those engines relighting.
We haven't seen that in so long.
What a great reorientation
Oh my god.
by Starship.
Oh my god.
All 3 down to 2 into the water.
It did it.
Starship is landed.
It did it.
Wow.
And we have ship splashed down in the Indian
Stick it, stick
Ocean.
it, stick it.
Some awesome buoy
Oh my
cam
god.
action here. Daylight views.
Oh no! It didn't survive.
Incredible. We really pushed the limits on ship and it made it all the way back down to Earth.
I am shocked,
No.
to be honest.
It did it
I
though.
think many folks are. The fact that it survived all the way through while flying a lesser gen heat shield is just absolutely incredible. And turns out the vehicle had more capability than our
This guy says, "I wanna
calculations
cry."
predicted. And that is why we test like we fly.
Exactly why we do that. And those views were absolutely incredible to watch. Because of Starlink, we were able to get the views all the way down, as well as the buoy.
What about the banana, though?
Seeing ship
The banana should
touchdown
be in
in
a
daylight.
glass
So
case.
cool, so cool. Now we want to, unfortunately, wrap up the show.
Yeah, exactly. We'll say congratulations to our teammates at SpaceX and to everyone who supported the Starship program. And thank you to all of our future customers for your support.
We'd also like to thank the people of Cameron County, Texas, as well as the Coast Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Government of Mexico, and the Australian Space Agency.
Now, be sure to
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Hey guys, I could take it from here. That
Aw,
was just incredible
Dan.
to see that splashdown. As you
Sheila,
said, thanks to everybody
Kate
that
looks so
took
scary.
such a huge part in this. Everybody here at Starbase that's worked on this program, just really pouring
Stop
their
looking at me
heart
like
into it.
that.
Great to see another booster lift off. We'll catch it the next time. Great to see ship in the water. New version of ship coming soon, so a lot more exciting launches coming up real soon here from Starbase. But I'll send us out this time. We'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Be sure to
Soft
follow
Eric.
SpaceX on X for updates and more exciting views that we weren't able to feature on today's broadcast.
I'm sure there will be plenty of those. Now, thanks to all of you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
The thing you know with them buoy cameras is that it was on target. You know it's on target because they hit it right in front of the camera. Okay, I'm gonna pull up mass space flights stream because oh, go away. Go away.
Let's go.
I mean, yeah. Let's be real.
Oh.
Just to temper expectations here, Flight 7 will not be in a month. I go on the record here. I will say it. Flight 7 will not be in a month. There, by the way, you remember when Chopsticks were there? They're no longer there. They are already back all the way down to resting.
I got worried for a second. Like, what happened to them?
That's good.
And
Means
we have to
gonna
show
go.
this. Look at that. Look at what we have there. You know what is coming there? That is metal prints, and this one.
Okay,
is
I want to go back.
Tyler Gray.
And that's the Z-weighted or unweighted.
It like it's
Was it
Flight 3.
Banana.
trying to open the payload? All the venting came in and was flopping around.
You can see the banana has
went out.
floated a little bit up
That's cool.
on the payload bay
That's their zero G.
side.
absolutely
go for the catch.
insane. After lip, and that's good.
And then I find
Just minutes. Looking good so far. Whew, Alex. Ascent already going great.
oof, the ship continuing.
Oh, the booster is like nose down.
That's what we want to hear.
That's weird.
The ship, of course, on its own journey.
It looks like the booster is now.
And that's where they got the call.
Catch.
Okay, there we go. That was
It's gonna
something
be
that
diverting to a splashdown, unfortunately.
There we go. SpaceX has confirmed that everything apparently is green for catch, and they will abort
So the tower
catch
was
now.
go before, but during that boost back burn, it seems like they have decided to not go for the catch.
That
It's
is the
okay,
final.
you know.
That's annoying though.
Final
That's
commit,
why
right,
all of
Alex?
these, yeah, that's why all of these, commit criteria need to be followed and need to be,
It's kind of annoying, like how strict the criteria
That's why
is,
they are
though.
here, right?
Yep, going close. There's the free, and
See, it's doing the translation just as if it was being caught.
It came down very hard though.
There you go. And I would not be surprised if now it blows up, by the way. So don't be surprised.
yeah, because
Ah, there it goes.
Good job, Mister. Good job.
Ho 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 ho. They're not going to be recovering that one.
Was that the sound?
Look at the cloud.
right? So next time
Yeah.
we need listening, do we get a
The ship, meanwhile, continues to go into a nominal trajectory. So far, so good.
Seems like we don't get the explosion sound. But yeah, everything on the ship seems to be going well. that can happen. Like, let's be the only would. Oh, there it is.
Have shut down. They've got.
I want to see more booster
For my
views.
We have
is just
Oh, it's looking
but to feel
toasty.
it,
Oh my god.
feel and the folks doing their job, but to feel it hit is just unbelievable. It's just something I'll never forget. And this is only flight 6. How many more?
Yeah.
We got a lot more to go.
we absolutely still have a lot more. To
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that we didn't get to see it though.
The flap,
Yeah, that's down one of the flaps.
What can you do?
that if not everything is perfect, I'm just saying.
Tower.
Hole or the comms tower.
Yeah, comms
Damage.
weather tower.
That's interesting.
I mean,
How did that?
they said if not everything.
Did it
is
pitch
perfect,
over?
I'm just saying.
Eh.
So
That's not in the middle. Is that in the middle of the tower section, not the piece that sticks over? Is that, or we know exactly where that is on the tower, on the top? Yeah, because I mean, it's just the pressure that moved that, right?
It could have been
Also
shockwave.
Ryan Weber in the back channel saying that that thing has seen damage basically on every single launch.
Oh, okay. But that bad?
Yeah. But maybe there's some relation. We'll see. SpaceX hopefully confirms to us why.
Okay. Okay, this one. Oh my god.
Left from Starship. And
Oh my god, it's still up.
International Space
It is still burning as well.
photographers on board the International Space Station. He's been up there multiple times. Going to be experiencing this with my own and share his experience. Record all.
A little over a minute maximum dynamic pressure.
Visual confirmation of that there on your screen. The pad itself, its booster unit, but especially the ship. Again, we have a thing on attempt 1. Today we will forego booster catch today, but with your system line that's clean, evaluating the criteria.
I want to see his reaction.
Real quick, we did hear the call out. Boost back, or excuse me, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means we are no-go for the catch.
He didn't see Flight 5. He wasn't there for it. He didn't see it catch.
As well as the operators on console have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for
Great. Now the next is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines, and then the next.
Starship is following nominal trajectory.
The next step for booster is
Booster offshore
visual
divert.
confirmation.
see that
No.
Offshore divert.
Oh.
we can also see that
No.
the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Booster offshore
Visual
divert.
confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the next
Starship is following nominal trajectory.
The next step for booster is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out. Boost back, or excuse me, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means we are no-go for the catch.
No go for catch.
As we said before, both the tower and the vehicle, as well as the
I want to see some
been actively evaluating the very
views.
watching it come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas. You can see it
out there on the ocean.
We saw earlier those grid
It's going sideways very quickly as well.
Wow. Wow.
Down to 3 just as we expected.
And there it goes.
And there it goes.
Holy cow.
An incredible view of
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Look at it. It popped the bottom of it off.
Oh my god.
Just popped the end of it off.
Wow. exciting nonetheless.
Something. Not the something we wanted.
As they are using the liquid propellant, it will still be sometimes.
I want to see.
Camera and that solution. So, yeah, we have a lot of cameras, different cameras based on different needs. So, yeah. This is from Charles.
Did they already show the banana
all
inside of the
bears
cargo bay?
saying, here watching from Montreal, Quebec. I hope very hard that I'll be able to see this in real life. I hope you do too. Like I said, it is. The launch is amazing. I can't wait to see a catch for the first time. That will be something that I'm really, really looking forward to. There we go. You can see ice building up on that vent line because of the relight. That's crazy. Be less heat dissipation on generally in the atmosphere. So stuff burn. You'll have to use more propellant to burn and do a landing burn on Mars. Although it has lower gravity, so it has much less atmosphere. But you'd be surprised though how the heating, like a Starship, gets unbelievably hot when it's still up at 80 kilometers. And at 80 kilometers, that's pretty similar to Mars's atmosphere.
In Discord, people named the banana Bob.
So Starship will be re-entering much lower in Mars's atmosphere, but the conditions will probably be relative, and they'll design the flight profile around the limitations of the heat shield to be able
And then the decal sticker on the side of the ship is Jeb.
We will have to see though. Tom Richardson, thank you so much for your support, and same. Still, we're showing a personal Twitter feed. We need to update that. There we go. Yeah, look at Booster though. That is still on fire, still floating.
Sniffing water.
33, double the amount of engines, and the diameter. We're not.
Impact with the water. Our ship is doing great so far. There's those engines relighting.
Like, we haven't seen that maneuver in 2 years? Like, that just split down the middle as well.
I am shocked, to be honest. I think many folks are.
Surprised they showed the ship exploding.
All the way through while flying a lesser gen heat shield is just absolutely incredible. And turns out the vehicle had more capability than our calculations predicted. And that is why we test like we fly.
Exactly why we do that. We were testing people.
Do they have any extra views?
We'll keep the camera going on this train.
Look at the boat. The boat's already there.
Hope that's an approved ship to be anywhere near this vehicle. We still have the Coast Guard.
Yeah, that's.
Out there.
Yeah, the Coast Guard chopper is there.
We'll see if this thing, what happens. But meanwhile, guys, that was incredible. So to summarize real quick what happened, we had an on-time liftoff right at the top of the launch window. The first, late afternoon, full daytime, not dawn launch of the full stack of Starship. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait to see our footage. Well, we're gonna switch some stuff around so we don't miss the booster here. But we're fixing a few things. John's trying to make it so we have a better framing. I think is that what's going on here? Oh, new memory card. Oh God, that's nerve-wracking. Think of it actually.
Did they get anything else?
Okay. So please don't.
Doesn't look like it. Okay, Coast Guard's still there?
About a year he hopes for version 3 Starship.
Okay, hold on.
That's as to me a long time ago, so
I'm gonna do some investigative work.
late 2026 for version 3. We will see.
I'm gonna
We have a lot of
do.
really generous support.
What's the name?
Cyan said if SpaceX offered you a hop on with a modified Falcon 9 first stage like New Shepard, would you take that ride and land propulsively? I mean, it's statistically as safe as the space shuttle, isn't it? It is actually technically safer statistically if you take a look at the last Spark 5 basically. They're about the
Oh
same.
my god, it's so laggy. Oh.
4 landing failures and about 150. Yeah, it's about the same as the space shuttle. No, I would not. I would not. It's not designed for that. There's not really any backups. Yes, it's extremely.
So there's Texas Department of Public Safety helicopter out there. It's circling the launch pad. This is interesting.
I need methalox shorts for when I'm venting. Justin wants to know where's the rocket chasing.
Where's the Coast Guard gone?
Chasing van? Luna is what powers these shows. Luna is plugged into Mars, our studio here, and that's what runs all of these live streams here at Starbase. It's still the heart of it. We will have an update for that and what we're doing with Luna, because we're doing something fun and exciting. That I will be pulling the trigger on tomorrow. So let's see. Let's keep going here. Do I envision Starship replacing long flights? I mean, I want to envision that. I want that for ourselves and for human capabilities, especially long flights. Imagine if I could just hop to New Zealand in 35 minutes, go visit Rocket Lab or something. Yeah, you better believe I'd do that.
So hard to find.
Is that feasible in the next 10 years? Probably not. In 20, maybe? 30, maybe? I just don't know. Rockets are very different than airplanes. There's a lot of inherent safety built into the fact that
satellite mapping?
using lift and has some abilities to abort if an engine fails. And when you have a pressurized vessel like this, I mean, I don't know.
Over here.
We'll see. This thing really starts flying hundreds of times a year.
That's over here.
And
Okay.
Why not? Brandon Music, thank you so much for becoming a member. Again, I'm missing so many of these. When will Gerald Undone do an inspection of your live streaming video setup? I don't actually know who Gerald Undone is, but hey, I would do a collaboration with it. If someone wants to come out and see our wild setup, it is very fun.
Trying to see, is there any, like, what boats are out there?
Brandon Music also, it's spurting.
Okay, so right now,
Brandon Music also donated $200.
there's a crew boat out there. Oh,
this is for you, Brandon Music. Thank you
still
so much
going.
for your donation. This one's for you, Brandon. Thank you so much again.
I think that's it. Popped it.
Everyone say thank you, Brandon. And
there's
let's see this thing.
a crew vessel out there. Don't know what it is, though.
That sure seemed like we were about to see someone pretty crazy. Maybe that was like
It's a passenger boat.
blowing up or something.
That's
Please tell me
interesting.
that's a gunner ship flying over like an AC-130 is about to just.
What is that flying over? It's not on ASB anyway. It's not showing up on trackers.
That doesn't look like. Is that a helicopter still? It's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I can't. There's no trackers showing up for
I was
it.
gonna say it'd be pretty crazy if we saw like a.
Arizona Department of Public Safety jet is circling it as well.
A run or something. That'd be pretty.
Marines do a gun run on the booster.
We'll have to see, I guess. That was some
Yeah, there's.
excitement.
That's a passenger boat that's out there for some
let's keep
reason.
going here. Again, I'm going to be missing so many people. This is
Maybe
from
crew
Music
to
again.
go over and
Thank you again so much for
look
your
at it, I guess?
super
I don't
chat.
know. But, like, they got out there really quick, it's still shooting flames.
Say hi, my mom and dad
Anyway,
are crashing. Yeah. Hi guys. How did you like it? Yeah. Yeah, they're smiling ear to ear. Why don't you guys want to come in and say hi real quick and show me your big happy smiles? Here's my parents. Cindy and Russ Dodd came in from Iowa. Wave to the cameras. Actually, that one's showing you guys. But yeah, they came in from Iowa, and yeah, this is their first Starship launch. You guys have seen some other launches, but
and they didn't see a catch.
I can tell
Sad.
they enjoyed it. Too bad it wasn't a catch, but oh yeah, yeah, it was awesome. Yep, I love these guys, and they've always been so supportive. So it's really fun having them out here to see a launch. So everyone say hi, Russ and Cindy. Awesome, thanks guys.
Okay.
So yeah, we got
What is.
we got some fun to
No,
have tonight.
just
We're gonna be
birds. It
doing
looked like there was a helicopter flying sideways for a second.
it's fun to have my parents around.
Anyway.
I'm close to my family and close to my friends, and it's
That. Oh, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Ah, my ears are down. Okay, there we go. My ears. Okay, that's probably gonna wrap it up. Went on a bit longer than expected. Didn't go how I expected. I don't really read TikTok chat because it's a tiny little pop-out window and it's hard to see. Yeah. Didn't exactly go how I expected it to. Didn't go how anyone really wanted it to. I almost forgot something. Hold on. Is this... I meant to have this ready for the stream. Oh no, it failed. No. Okay, I'm gonna... I had a whole thing planned. Oh. Is that one works. I had a whole thing planned. I was building the Starship model and I wanted it. Okay, I'm just gonna grab it. Damn it. It fell. Oh. Let me grab it. Let's see what happens. That did not go great. The 3D print turned out like that. I grabbed the rest of the ship. I don't know what I did. Okay, this has been like a long project. Booster, you can kind of see it. It's not that easy to see. Kind of see booster. All the engines on it. Has a hot stage ring. I still have to print the grid fins. And I have this part of the ship. The nose cone pops onto it. I painted this and the paint feels really weird like chalk. But pops on there. It's like the nose cone of the ship. This part that failed, let me rip this spaghetti off of it first. This part that failed, oh, it actually might have failed at a decent point. This part that failed, right, it's the rest of it, you can kind of see the detail on it, like the heat shield tiles. That's supposed to go on, oh my god, it actually might have, oh my god, did it actually? Don't break my entire ship, please. Oh, it didn't. But you can kind of see. I had to paint it. Had to paint it and sand it a lot since it failed. But it failed like when it was almost finished. Like that's, you can see it's like really not by much it failed. But yeah. Because this is, how long is this? Hold on. Measure tape right here. I've been designing a lot of things today, so I just started hanging on measure tape. It is it's like 30 centimeters tall. No, it's like 32. It's 32 centimeters tall. My printer can do 35, but the configuration for the custom firmware I have on it doesn't allow it to go over that. So, it won't do it. It's good to know though, I got my scaling perfectly because I had to heat the nose cone up. What if I just force it on? Okay, ow, that didn't work great. It warped in a really weird way. That's interesting. Since I don't have pressure to show on stream now and get it done in time, I'm just gonna reprint it overnight. Oh my gosh. I'm not done that. I'm just, hold on, let me show you another thing. Okay. So. Oh, the paint is flaking off. I don't like that. Okay. So. Push this. Go this way? It does go this way, I think. Oh, does it? Or did I forget to reprint it? No, it does go this way, I'm pretty sure. Oh my god, please. Oh, that didn't work great. It slots in like a really certain way. Ah! It's really specific. And I might have printed it again and forgotten to sand it down. Because my thing was really weird. But I hate this so much. But it's like a little ring, right? Oh, how did the paint get on my fingers? That I thought that was dry. Okay, that slots in there. And then the spaghetti, get away. I still have to print the engine for the ship, and then that will just go bam. It's really tall. It's really tall. There's multiple. There's Thingiverse. There's printables. There's one that's called Colts 3D for some reason. Yeah, Thingiverse. And then there's also a bamboo one. Bamboo. I have it open actually in a tab. That's where I got that one off of. Maker World. That's another one. I'll show you. This is where I got mine off of. Here it is. Won't need this overlay for like months because the FAA wanted to do investigation. But this is where I got mine off. I have to do the stand. I really want to do the stand. Let me show you my original one I was going to do. So, this is my second version I was doing, right? I didn't connect them. They won't connect. I have to sand the hostage ring down because my printer likes to plunge the nozzle into things. So, my original plan was print something this size. You can obviously see something doesn't look right there. It layer shifted, which means it's printing this, right? And then the belt skips and it starts printing over here, which causes this, and then it fails. There's a bit of a size difference. That's... oh my god, this is awful to show. Okay, so that's mine inside of the one I was going to do. It's like twice the size. And the hot stage ring that was on it, that's this. It's so awkward. It's a lot bigger. But the filament I got was really bad and had moisture in it, so it failed, so it caused all that. It was a nightmare. So I gave up on it. Because it was really thin, it kept breaking up. So, all your messages get held. Don't worry about it. My printer has a life of its own. It's annoying. Luckily I have good filament now. I came this morning. But I'm waiting for one part that came out of warranty for the printer. So on the printer, obviously there's a head that goes back for that puts the plastic out, and then there's another bed that goes this way. There's a rail. That rail is warped. So it's trying to print on a curved surface, which causes failures. The reason... oh, I need to get this off. Ah. It's a really tight friction fit. You can kind of see in there. It was going so well up until that. So it's printing this... oh. What's printing? Oh, printing this way. Okay, yeah. It's printing this way. And then it unstuck from the bed, fell over, and caused all of this spaghetti. And it caused a really bad surface finish, which also messed up the texture of all the tiles. So now I had to reprint it. Which, how long did that one take? That took 5 hours and 36 minutes. Did my time lapse work at least? Oh, it did! Okay, this is... I have a time lapse code, custom code put into this. And then you can see it falls over soon. I was working on the booster for a while. And printing. And then... You see? Mid-fall. Mid-fall. It still tries to print, which causes all this. Just... Ah, it's gone. It failed so close too. But how did my AI not detect it? I have an AI thing that's plugged into it and for some reason didn't detect it. Okay, my bad. What's this one? You. Ah, this is the nose cone. The nose cone was a journey. So I was running really low on filament. I printed in grey, then white, then blue. That's this part. But it actually came out really well after I painted it. Like, that's a really nice finish. I had to do flaps and everything. Yeah, I was under such pressure because I wanted to get it done for this stream. Obviously it didn't happen. Because that was still printing. But at least I have something to show. Like this, I'm pretty proud of the booster. Booster looks pretty sick. I don't like the surface finish on the top. It's really what the... It's really bad. So more than likely, what I'm going to do straight after this stream, because I know I don't have to have it done, is chop the top off and reprint it. I was going to get a saw and just... and reprint this entire section, because that's the worst thing ever. Like, look at it. Look at it. It's so bad. Oh, it's so annoying. So I had to reprint that. Print grid fins, print flaps, print ship engines, print stand. Yeah, it's a lot to do. But I'm pretty proud of the ship. Like, if you just look at it from that angle, sort of, it looks good. Anyway, I have one successful model I did do a long time ago. And this one I'm forever proud of. Because it was on stock firmware from my printer. And I don't know how I pulled it off, to be honest. Probably with too much patience. But Falcon 9. It's taller than this one because the scaling is really bad. Falcon 9. The stage separates. It has an engine. It has dragon on it. Dragon capsule. The dragon capsule comes off. There's a big spider also crawling up my hand. It's currently on my hand. Hello, sir. Get off, please. Stop dangling. Jesus. If I find a spider in 3 hours on my hand somewhere when I'm in bed, I'm gonna go insane. But yeah. So, little crew capsule. And then the nose cone comes off. There's a tiny little docking port in it, which I never painted because it was really fine details. And then there's a second stage. That just goes bam. The hooks are really bad on it, so it kind of holds it. But first stage, right? First stage has little grid fins on it. Grid fins actually come out. But also not planning for this at all. Has another second stage, right? This one doesn't have engine, I gave up on that. But it has fairings. Bam, bam. It's like one thing I actually do want to check. I never check this. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I can just put... Oh, I'm an idiot. I could just replace the capsule. Oh. You know, I'm just gonna do that. This second stage is now gonna be in my drawer for probably the next year and a half. But yeah. And then this goes in. It has little locks on the bottom, little clips. goes bam. It goes in a certain direction because then it looks better. Certain direction. Takes some time to get it. There we go. And then it's all one. Parachute. We don't worry about that. They don't need it. Who needs parachutes? No one. No one at all. If you need a parachute, you're a baby. You don't want to plunge into the water at Mach 4. Huh? You don't want to be that guy? Okay. Try and position this back in my window where it won't fall. Because the landing legs are really bad because, like I said, it's on its stock printer firmware. There we go. Dragon is going back on the window as well. In its unstacked configuration. I'm gonna have the. Oh, I just pulled its head off. Oh no. Oh, I just pulled the track off. Oh no. How do you go together again? Oh no. Hold on. That way? Possibly? Yeah! I made a Wally. Make my life easier. I made Wally. This took so much time. This is like a flat pack IKEA furniture. Yeah, I made Wally. It was like flat pack IKEA furniture and I had to fold it into place. The arms move as well. Little claws open. Like I love it. I have so many things I printed. And they're all of my window. I also printed these. These are one of the first prints I did on my printer. A big frog with a rose. A little fox. And this was a test with Clipper when I changed firmware. A little ghost. And then what else did I do? I did a duck with a cowboy hat. Because why not? I did an F-35. Because once again, why not? I did do, you'll probably like this one. I did the chrome dinosaur. I did have the cactus, but I was talking to someone at some point. Something happened and I threw the cactus at the wall. I never found it again. I looked at it as it exploded. It hit the wall and exploded. And I don't know where it went. It just disappeared. I also have a sunglasses rack right here where all my sunglasses are hanging. I have a thing on my bedside thing that holds all my stuff. Recently, I can't. Actually, I can. It's really awkward and stupid. I hate it. I hate doing this. But I modified my phone stand. So it was this like Samsung wireless charger thing. It's now that, right? And now I also made a watch stand for my thing, and I made this because I wanted to see how it would turn out. It's like a helix spiral thingy, you know. Let me see. And my phone actually works on it as well. It's like it works perfectly. See, and even my home screen is the booster from the last flight, which I was expecting to replace today with a new picture, but oh well. This way. Get this way. Yeah, this way. What the hell? What? Excuse you? Sir? Can you please rotate? That's not rotating. Excuse you? Hello? Hello? There we go. There we go. Yeah, I get bored, I have filming, I look on Thingiverse and I search for random things to print. And then I find out, oh, let's test this with my printer. Focus, please. No? Okay. There we go. Yeah. I'm really random. I also made USB holder. It's modular. It's separate modules, you know. They expand it. You saw this one, I think. Halloween. I was really out of time. I had nothing, so I made a fly mask. You know this one already. This was all white. This is all just painted white. It was not painted white. It was white, and I painted it. I masked it off. I did everything. Made straps for it. Because I'm just that talented. I'm just that good. Also for engineering, I have like a load of like L brackets. For stuff. I'm so confused about what you're asking that for. What are you asking? Oh, the mask? They're still there. That's also not what they are, but sure. It's probably the last time you're going to see it anyway, because it was the last Halloween in the school. What else did I make? Did I make anything else? I think that's it. That's it in this room, anyway. I had one project at one point to make a pegboard type thing. I used so much filament on this. I used like an entire reel on making these. They're like sections like this wide. Like 3 here. The scale was slightly too small. And nothing would slot into it. So it lives beside my desk now, unused. And will never be used. That was a journey of emotion. I got so mad. Oh, my nose. I was measuring nozzles to buy them yesterday. It's like tiny. You know what? Right now, I'm gonna try and find that fly mask time lapse. Cause it's all here. You? See, the fly mask I did at night, most of it. So it is like pitch black. This one? No. Why is there like 8 of the same one? Who knows? There's so many of the same one. What the hell? This one. Possibly. It is. Except it's like not a single frame that actually shows it because it was during the night. My engineering project, hinges. I have stuck time lapse going back to the 17th of August. I could, that's actually a decent idea. I didn't think of that one. It's all plastic though. Isn't it usually wood they climb up? I thought in this it would show me how many hours I've printed. Apparently it shows in this jobs. History. Oh. 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 Oh my god. That's. Oh no. Longest job, 34 hours. I think that was the fly mask actually. I think that was the fly mask that took the longest. 217 prints, 331 hours, 305 hour print time. So like it's only been up 26 hours without being printed. 1,443. Like that's like 6 full rolls of filament. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not. That goes back to like early August. Actually, you know, that's really bad. Anyway, this went on a lot longer than I expected. We're at just almost 2.5 hours now. This is supposed to be an hour and a half just for the Starship launch. Expecting it to land spend a lot more time talking, but here we are. So, I'm gonna see if there is anyone that's worth rating. Oh, actually, hold on. Oh, he's not streaming anymore. Damn. Let's see. Oh, okay, anyway, that's gonna be it for the stream. You'll probably see me again streaming in about 4 months. Or whenever the next Starship launch is. Yeah, I think this has been the quickest time between streams the last year. I'm so random lately. Like, it's been a month of 4 days. A month of 5 days. A month of 5 days, yeah. Since the last launch. It's gonna be like another 4 months because they only licensed Flight 5 and 6. They get a separate license for 7. Probably had to do an investigation because both of them blew up after they landed. But yeah, anyway, I will see everyone the next stream. Bye.
Need you to forgive me, 'cause I've been here before. Poured out till I'm empty, more than I can afford. I don't got a lot left, I gotta be cautious. Need you to be honest with me. If I go in head first, am I gonna get hurt? Don't think I could take it, so please tell me if I give you love, would you box it up? Put it on a shelf like everybody else until it's collecting dust. And if it's yours to break, would you keep me safe? Tell me you're the one, that you're not gonna run, and that it's not